Well, wasn't that fun? Never have I had a timer to bring me into a live here. This is my first live talk. Thanks everyone for joining us. This is going to be really awesome. And if you didn't know, this is also kicking off the Ultimate Raw Vegan Bundle 2.0. We're really darn excited. We got an amazing lineup, awesome people who've been living this raw food lifestyle for a really long time. And all of them are a part of the Ultimate Raw Vegan Bundle to bring you the top information, recipes, and support to help you out with the raw vegan lifestyle. Before I introduce everyone, I do want to quickly show you guys the Ultimate Raw Vegan Bundle so you can see what we're all talking about. And then we're going to get into the live questions and all the fun there. So this is the Ultimate Raw Vegan Bundle here. Make sure it's showing. There we go. Good. So you get over 50 raw vegan ebooks, all new content, $3,200, total value, $50. So there's a free live event schedule. So when we click this, you'll see that every single day has loads of free lives and they're all clickable. Here we are on the live panel. There's a whole bunch after this and it's all free, over 200 lives. And if we scroll down, there's tons and tons of ebooks, exclusive holiday group collaboration, which all of us here have our recipes in, regular $50. We won't go through all this. I'll let you guys click the link and check this all out yourself. We want to dive into the live. Just wanted to hype this up for you guys a little bit and introduce you to the bundle. This was a huge opportunity to come together and share all this awesome information with you. So without further ado, I'm going to invite in the co-creator of the bundle here, Alyssa from Raw Food Romance. How's it going, Alyssa?
It's going great. It's such an amazing day to share this. And we've been working on this for months.
Absolutely.
Months. And yeah, all of us got together to create this, the ultimate raw vegan bundle experience. It's like a festival. And
absolutely.
We wanted it.
13 days of it, 13 days of nonstop live content and
13
kitties.
Days of kitties. Oh, where's mine? But yeah, I'm so blessed to be the organizer with you. You are incredible. And everyone else in the bundle, we wouldn't have this bundle without everybody who's in it. And absolutely. We wouldn't have the bundle if it wasn't for all our followers, because you guys all love our content and we wanted to make something super special. The holiday collaboration book is very special. It's bundle only. So if you want to get that book, it's only available in the bundle. But yeah, big day. Blessed to be here.
So thankful you are here. And if you'd like to give just a quick introduction on how you found the raw food lifestyle and how long you've been into raw food. We're pretty short here, but I want everyone to just do a quick self-introduction.
Cool. Yeah. So for anyone who doesn't know me, my name is Lissa. And I am Raw Food Romance on Instagram and YouTube and all that jazz. I found raw foods in 2004, but I always did it wrong. I was eating way too high fat. I was restricting my calories. And then in 2014, I decided to try the low fat version. I got Dr. Doug's book, 80-10-10, and I was like, okay, I'm going to try this low fat thing. And it stuck. I was eating enough. I was eating abundantly, lots of fiber, lots of variety, and I was able to do it. Now it's been 7 years. Cleared cystic acne, lost 70 pounds, healed all countless things, and never going back.
So awesome and so inspiring. If you aren't following Lissa at Raw Food Romance or on her YouTube, it's about time. So without further ado, probably also invite the men who inspired both of us and many of the people in the bundle here. We got Dr. Douglas Graham in the house. What's going on, Doug?
Hey, how you doing? I'm so excited. I'm super healthy. I'm expecting better. It's a cool time for me. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Dr. Doug Graham. I went raw in the late 70s. It took me a while to figure it out. When I figured it out, I started practicing it for another 20 years and then wrote a book about it, which many of you have seen. I'm really glad to see so many more people spreading the message. That to me is super important. As far as what I'm doing lately, other than creating a whole bunch of audiobooks and some new written books, I'm just priming myself up to get ready to go to the British Powerlifting Championships.
Ooh, that's awesome.
It's kind of fun. I want to be on the podium.
I've had a lot of fun lifting with you and eating lots of raw food with you and learning from you. And I got to just thank you, Doug. Definitely, you impacted my life hugely 17 years ago, completely brought me in a different direction to where I am now. And if you guys haven't checked out Food and Sport and Dr. Doug Graham on Instagram and checked out the 80-10-10 diet, every single person I talk to, that's the first thing I say. If you're into raw food, check out the 80-10-10 diet, 110%.
That's
Modern
so
father of the low-fat raw food movement here. So we're blessed to have you on here, Dr. Doug. So sorry.
It's just a treat to share time with you all.
So excited and blessed. This is gonna be lots of fun. Let's invite in another long-termer here. We have Petr Cech in the house. Peter, I first met from the Danish Fruit Festival, the Fresh Fruit Fest.
Yes, the Fresh Food Festival. I've been organizing that together with Annette, Louise, and other people, and it was very exciting. I'm very grateful that I got the opportunity to do that, and I couldn't do it without Doug Graham, because it was him who helped me. Who actually, back in 2002 or 3, I think. I read on the internet about Doug Graham, and now it was very exciting to hear from him, from just the one person I knew at that moment, that it's possible to live on fruits. So I was thinking, if that is possible, then I will try to do that. And since that, I never looked back. I was living 100% just on raw foods and mostly fruits from that time.
That's so awesome, man. Well, you've always been a huge inspiration to me, and coming to the festivals you started and the movement you've also grown out here in Denmark and in Europe and across. You've always been somebody who I found just to be completely inspired and just sparked with life, and an amazing example, of raw food. You've been over 2 decades with raw food, eh?
Yeah. Yes. Just about that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us here.
Thank you for inviting me to be here.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely excited.
I don't feel like an expert to be here, but I'm grateful that you have invited me.
I've heard you speak. You're an expert.
Absolutely.
No.
Wisdom is from the application of principles. So you have a lot of wisdom to share. And we're going to invite on here now Jesse and Reny Bogdanovich and their little wee one, Lily.
Hey, we gotta go this way.
How's it going?
Oh, baby.
Great. So happy to be here, guys. So nice to see all these cool people, and hello to everybody out there.
Stoked to have you both on here. Both you guys long-term raw vegans who found each other, and Jesse, a long history of health and health creation in your family. And now you have a beautiful raw baby and family growing. So awesome to have you guys on here. Would you guys both like to share just a little bit about yourself and where people can find you real quick? And we'll jump into questions.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so people can find me on the Whole Lifestyle on Instagram, the Whole Lifestyle on YouTube, and thewholelifestyle.com. Yeah, I'm long-term raw vegan, 22 years, just over that, and went 100% raw vegan overnight, and hit the ball running. It saved my life, basically. So I don't want to get into the whole story long, but I was I got vaccinated, and then I got sick, and I was completely paralyzed, and if it wasn't for like fasting and raw food, I would not be here today.
Someone's phone's going off.
Somebody's phone is going off. I don't know whose that was. Not ours.
Well, it's awesome to have you both on here. And I've enjoyed so much times with you guys as well at festivals and cruising around on the first ever raw vegan cruise, and so many amazing times. And we are set to have possibly 2 other people join us here, Karen Ranzi and Louise Koch. We'll see if they show up, and if not, more questions for you guys. Speaking of questions, I think it's time that maybe we break into a bunch of questions here.
Yeah.
I'm getting used to this restream technology, so hopefully I can zoom in on your face. What we're going to do is just go into some of the first written questions, and everyone who's listening live in the chat, which is across Facebook and YouTube and Twitter. Hopefully, you guys have some questions you can write in here as well, and we'll go into answering them. So the first one, just so that you guys know, the main topic of this, I'm just going to start off with a bang, is why low-fat raw vegan? And I'm going to actually start off by asking Doug this, as I think you've sparked this in most of us here, and really championed that message. So I'd love to ask you that, Doug. Why low-fat raw vegan?
Well, there's two answers. I guess the simple answer is because low-fat raw vegan works better than any other dietary program that anybody has ever imagined, tried, invented, talked about. And I've tried a lot of different programs. I was a health seeker for 20 years before I went raw, and it was just it worked better. It just works so much profoundly better that they're just, as Lissa said, no looking back. It by far not. But the science supports the reasons why it works better, and that not only is it nutritional, but it's also factors in your blood. Your oxygen carrying capacity increases on low fat. Your glucose transmission from bloodstream to cells is better on low fat. So this takes care of heart disease, cancer, diabetes, sports performance, all improve, as does clarity of mind. And so as soon as you go low fat, raw vegan, you've got nutrition working for you. You've got all the sciences working for you. Hate to claim all the sciences, but they actually, I made a chart once about the 50 sciences that all support low fat, raw vegan, but basically oxygen carrying capacity, glucose transmission to the cells. And like I said, basically because it works better than anything else I've ever tried. So I just keep working it.
Makes absolute sense. And I was doing a live earlier with Chef Ocean today, and he was kind of asking the same kind of question, and it was the same thing. It's like you learn things, it all leads you in one direction. It's supported by the science, and then it's supported by the nature, is supported by your own experience, and it's hard to second guess when everything aligns and you're feeling so much better, right? Does anyone else have anything they'd love to add about this topic of why low fat, and maybe their experience with trying higher fat and then trying lower fat and feeling any contrast? Lissa?
Yeah, I would love to share, because when I found raw in 2004, it was all like the high fat gourmet raw stuff that I was exposed to. So I would always try high fat, and I was always eating handfuls of nuts for snacks and lots of avocados. And I was also restricting my calories too. So I was getting the majority of my calories from fat, and I was always feeling sluggish, tired. I was dealing with candida, like gut dysbiosis flare-ups, skin like eruptions and all kinds of stuff. And I just wasn't feeling, I was like, why can't raw work for me? I want it to work so bad. And it just wasn't working. And then actually after 10 years of trying that way, I decided to go read Doug's book and try the low fat. I was scared at first though, because we're always taught we need all these healthy fats, right? But we're just eating them in excess, and we only need an appropriate amount for the human body, as long as you're eating an abundance of everything else, getting enough calories. I was able to effortlessly do a raw diet, and I focus on like omega-3s like chia and flax and hemp mostly, and then the other stuff I keep with my greens, and it's been amazing. But that my experience has been, it just doesn't work high fat, because it pulls you down. It's really sluggish, and our bodies are meant to run on sugar. So fruit for the win.
I love it. I absolutely love it. So a question to everyone: if low fat is good, does that mean that like we shouldn't eat any fat, or like how much fat have you found in your personal diet is appropriate, and does that change at all? Anyone?
I could answer that one too.
All right. Well, and as Doug suggested, what I'm going to start doing from here is we're going to give 1 minute 30 seconds for answers, and we'll see how that goes. Sound good?
Cool.
So you got it now. 1:30.
Okay. So yeah, for me, I find anywhere between 8 and 12% is ideal, and for me that looks like either half an avocado or maybe 2 or 3 tablespoons of nuts or seeds with my evening salad, and that tends to be the perfect amount for me. And I feel like the more fats, like you're getting close to like the 20-25%, that's where it's too much. And you know that by you're feeling more sluggish, you don't have as much energy, and cravings start to come too, which is another thing. But yeah, that would be my quick. I like 8 to 12%.
Okay,
I
awesome.
mean, what a great answer. You covered so much ground there, Lisa. Really good. Really,
Thanks.
really good. I like that. I won't tell anybody that I count the amount of fat that I eat. I've done that a zillion times. But let's understand that when scientists do experiments on low-fat diets, they either use 30 or 35% of calories as what they're calling low fat. So anything under 20 is exceptionally low for anybody. I use 10% as my guide, but even then it depends what you count. The fruits and vegetables you eat just alone have about 7% of calories coming from fat. So if you want to be nitpicky about it, you could just live on fruits and vegetables and not add any fat, and you'd be at about 7%. Or you could add another 10% of your calories from fatty foods like nuts and seeds and avocados, and it puts you in the teens somewhere some days, and maybe some days you don't eat any fats at all. The critical thing, if you start reacting to eating a sweet meal by falling asleep, you still have too much fat in your bloodstream from the meal before. As all the things that Lisa said, the cravings start coming in, the skin issues. Keeping it low fat means that fruits predominate your diet. It's pretty straightforward, and if you're on a low fat diet because fruits predominate heavily. Vegetables are secondary, and in volume they're almost equal. And then if you eat a little bit of fat here and there, you have a handful of this or a half of that. Depends on how big you are and how many calories per day you eat. If you're eating 6,000 calories a day, well, you eat more fat. I'm done.
An interesting one there, Doug. I'm curious, and some people have asked this actually. If fat affects your insulin levels, if you're losing weight and you have fat going through your bloodstream, does that affect your insulin levels as well?
It can. It depends how quickly you're losing fat. Depends on how fast is that weight loss. Do you actually have blood saturation of fat because it's such a rapid weight loss? I don't recommend trying to lose weight exceptionally quickly. I would rather see somebody maintain a couple of 100-calorie deficit on a daily basis and just do that as long as it takes.
Absolutely.
Then you don't run into any issues.
Absolutely. So I do want to mention to both you guys, well, not to both you guys, to everyone here and to everyone listening in, we're having some technical difficulties, and Karen and Louise are both trying to get in, but for some reason it's not letting them in. I tried to pay extra to make sure that we could have as many guests as we want, but for some reason it's only allowing this much right now. So they didn't ghost us. They just aren't getting in there right now. So they're trying on their end, and hopefully they're hearing me say this. Hopefully they're able to get in, and I'll continue to help them a little bit on the side. But let's see. A lot of people are asking about, fat as well as protein in terms of, their ages. And I've had some people ask, like, I'm an older male. I've heard that we need more protein or we need more calories as we get older because our digestion goes down. Does anyone want to talk about that at all? How does that work?
Well, as the old man on the stage, I'll say...
I wasn't going to point you out, Doug.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm not 70 yet.
No.
There's no fact to the idea that you need more calories as you get older. Most people say they need fewer calories as they get older. Number one. Number two, most of the time, older people aren't carrying as much muscle mass, nor are they as active. 2 more reasons why they need fewer calories. And in terms of protein, there's nothing to demonstrate that we need more protein. There's no indicators that we need more protein. We've learned on all health parameters, from blood work on through everything else, lab work of all kinds, that you don't want to be too low and you don't want to be too high. You want to fall somewhere in that mid-range. And in terms of protein intake, you get all you need from fruits and vegetables. Nobody's ever gone protein deficient on any diet, and certainly not on low-fat raw vegan.
Yeah. So
Can I add?
going back really briefly, go ahead, Lisa.
Yeah, I wanted to say this too, is that a lot of people worry about these things, and I coach hundreds of people too, and I find that a common thread for everyone is that they're all under eating on raw.
Yeah.
The vast majority of people under eat on raw because the fiber and the hydration and everything fills them up fast, but then they get hungry later, so they're always hungry, they're not eating enough, maybe they're skipping meals, they're going too long without eating. And some people only eating, like sometimes I'll enter into Chronometer and they're only eating 800 to 1200 calories a day, which is not enough. And with time, constantly in that severe of a deficit, they fall off raw, or they need some really dense calories and they feel all these cravings. So I feel like if you're worried about getting enough, make sure that you eat enough. That would be my ad.
I mean, you're starting out with the most nutritious foods known to man. How can we be worrying about deficiencies?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Jesse, Peter, you have any thoughts on what an appropriate amount of fat is and what you found for yourself? Has it fluctuated, or have you found that there's some times where you feel like you want a little more, a little less, and what happens when you change it up if you have?
Yeah, I got quite a bit to say about that, if I can talk. Yeah, in
You
the
got a minute and a
beginning,
half, Jesse.
Okay, yeah, in the beginning when I first started, I ate real simple. Then there was like potlucks forming. Then I got into that gourmet food and I started feeling sick and not myself anymore. So I found out that was way too much fat in there. So then I started, toning that down. And then of course I met Doug Graham and I went to Health and Fitness Week, I think 3 or 4 times, and that was life changing. So I recommend everyone go to that. And yeah, in the winter time, it depends if you're far north or whatever. I find that it does fluctuate around the year. Like in the winter time, it goes up to maybe 15%, sometimes 20%. And I feel really warm and good in the wintertime when I have a little bit more, but no more than that. And then if I would go past that, which I don't anymore, I would start feeling sluggish. And like what Lisa said, all these symptoms and problems would come in and I wouldn't feel so good. So definitely got to keep it low fat, but everyone's kind of got to find that balance. But just, that's why I like journaling and writing things down. I've been journaling for years and years, and I still do that because it's so nice when I, have a day that I don't feel good or I feel sluggish. I go back and look and go, oh, I had a little bit too much avocado or something. And one other thing I wanted to say is it's really important to focus on the omega-3s. A lot of people are eating too much avocados and too many nuts and seeds that are high in omega-6, and we need to balance that out with having, flax, chia, hemp seed, and bringing that into balance because that's really, really important. And just to, see how it goes for each one of you. I mean, for me, if I overeat on the fat, I would get like pimples, I would feel sluggish, I just wouldn't feel myself, I couldn't focus and think as much as I should. So it definitely affects if you eat too much fat. So we got to all be watching out for that.
Thanks, Jesse. Thanks. And you know what, guys? Karen Ranzi is now with us. Welcome, Karen.
Karen.
Hi, I'm excited to be with all of you. I love this group.
So awesome to have you with us. And we've all known Karen for a long time as well. Over 27 years raising raw children and helping young parents and older parents alike raising kids. Really awesome to have you on here. We've just been talking about the importance of a low-fat raw vegan diet, and we're getting into some more intense kind of questions here coming up. But I wanted to ask you, what have you found is the parallel between raising kids and the quantity of fat in the diet? Does it change for kids, or as people get a little bit older, does it change, or what have you found?
I found that especially during times when they were having growth spurts, and it seemed like there were notable times when they would need more. Mm-hmm. And they just ate more fat at that time. But most of the time, it was more in the way of fruits and vegetables. And, back then in the 1990s, I've known Dr. Doug Graham since about 1995. And there were times when I did get concerned. My husband got concerned because my kids were growing at the lower end of the growth charts. And he'll probably remember that I was asking him those questions about, why my kids were growing, and they were on the growth charts, but they were growing more slowly. And I just really had to understand, like, my kids weren't eating dairy. They weren't taking in growth hormones.
Yeah.
And so they were growing slowly, but normally. And I was also fortunate that I did have a pediatrician who we went to once a year for a wellness visit. And that was it. And he totally supported me and even said to my kids, just listen to your mom. She knows what she's talking about when it comes to nutrition. And so even though I did find that my kids needed a pretty good amount of fat before, like the age of 3, when they started eating more like us, more feeds, especially, earlier. But when they became age 3, they had a typical diet, and it was more low fat. Now, when I first did start, though, I was eating way more fat. I was, very influenced by the earlier festivals, and there was a focus on high fat. It wasn't low fat like what 80-10-10 prescribed. So I was eating more fat, and like Jesse, I also didn't feel well. I felt sluggish. It was definitely going in the right direction. Like Lissa, I had cystic acne. I had cystic acne for 25 to 30 years. And the dermatologist always told me that it was related to genetics. And as soon as I went raw vegan, even high fat raw vegan, my skin cleared in 3 months. It was pretty amazing.
That's so awesome. And we've heard that again and again, eating higher fat causing multiple different issues, just going more sluggish and slow down. And after clearing things up and going lower fat, things just seem to perk up. Thank you so much, Karen.
But I did leave the fat up to my kids.
Yeah.
When they were
Chris,
eating.
can I answer a couple of the questions that have come in on the chat?
Absolutely. And I'd also just quickly like to introduce Louise. Louise made it into the chat here.
Oh, phenomenal.
Hey, Louise.
Copenhagen.
Hi. I'm so glad I could finally get in. It was
Sorry for the tech kind of craziness. It's a new platform we're using here. We're so happy to have you with us.
Thank you.
Louise also has helped heal herself from some skin issues and digestive issues, other issues with over 15 years raw now, hey? And you're over in Denmark.
It's 12 years to be correct, 12 and a bit, but it's been a long time, definitely. So yeah, it's saved my life, basically. I have to thank Peter and Doug especially, because they were the ones who brought this knowledge to me. And if I hadn't had it, I probably wouldn't be here today, to be honest. It's that big for me. It's massive. So.
Well, we've been really blessed by you too, and you continued the work of Peter with the Fresh Food Festival, and that was the first time I got to meet you out in Denmark, and now we're spreading this message out through this way, and excited for a heck of a lot more.
Yeah, there's like no reason why you wouldn't do this. Like, to me, it's a no-brainer. The amount of people I've seen got well on this diet is just insane. I don't know. Those who follow me, they know from my YouTube channel that I have interviews with so many people that got well, and it's like, why wouldn't you? Just look at everyone here thriving after plus 10 years or 20 for some people. It's pretty amazing.
It's a blessing, and that's why we all come together and want to spread this out. So because Doug has a great idea here to get in some questions on the chat here. So let's see.
I've got 3 or 4 of them in my head. I can just zip answers out really quick.
All right, you zip some out, and then I'm going to
so
bring.
There was a comment that my kids are growing slowly too, being raised on raw vegan, and Karen mentioned kids growing slowly, and I want to make it really clear: kids on raw vegan don't grow slowly. Kids on animal, especially dairy and the other foods that have growth hormones in them, are growing exceptionally and unhealthfully rapidly. And to compare ourselves to them is an incorrect comparison. They are not the healthy version. Our raw kids are growing up at a normal speed, and that's the healthy version, the rate we should see. There was also a comment about protein supporting muscle growth. Yes, you need to have sufficient protein in order to do any kind of growth. We see that babies on mother's milk, 6% protein, grow just fine. We don't need massive amounts of protein. And taking extra protein won't mean extra muscle growth. That all said, I don't know very many people who want to gain a bunch of muscle. I know everybody would love to be a little bit stronger, but I don't know that many people who also want to be bigger, myself included. I don't want to add muscle. I just want to add strength. There's a bunch of other comments out, and we can go through them really quickly, but I think we should address, because a lot of people are asking a lot of great questions. The last one was about how to stay raw, some comments on how to stay raw. And the answer's already been given. Fruit's number one. Eat more fruit. If you're not eating enough fruit, you're not going to stay raw for very long.
And you know, Doug, that was one thing that one of many things I really learned from you is eat with complete abandon, complete abundance. You know, it's almost impossible to overdo unless you're forcing it or not enjoying it. And so many people come into this lifestyle with the kind of scarcity mentality around food that they got to, you know, like hold back, like really got to hold back and keep their stomach half empty or half full, whichever way you look at it, right? But with raw food, you don't have to. You can really eat with abundance, and that's one of the huge keys to success that I really thank you for. So here's a good question from Bonnie, and I'm going to see how this looks. And anyone who would like to go into this can. I'd like to know your thoughts on nightshades and the problems they can cause towards inflammation and gut health, or do they? Anyone want to dive into some nightshades? And I know this could be a subjective topic, because I do know in my experience there has been some people that have some issues with nightshades, and I've known a lot of people who don't. But there
are some people who have problems with bananas, some with avocados, some with almost any food you could name. Don't eat the plants. The nightshade plants are really harmful for you. The fruits are really great for you.
Yeah, I'd agree. I found the same. I found less than 5% of people that I've coached or talked to actually have any issues with nightshades, but those who do, they do. And like you said, if you have an issue with something, it's kind of one of those things. If it hurts your elbow to do this move, we'll stop doing that and do something else, right? So let's see. I had one from somebody who wrote in earlier. He said, Dr. Joel Furman talks about the importance of eating beans. Are there any nutrients we're missing by not having beans in the diet? Does anyone want to tackle that?
Zero?
But what about bean? Sorry, that wasn't funny at all, was it?
When I used to eat beans, I used to need to take Beano, a digestive aid. Okay. So I didn't digest them very well. And when the idea of eating fruit, a carbohydrate, was suggested, I mean, that just does the job with easy digestion. Fruit is really the key. I totally agree with Doug on that.
Absolutely. Has anyone, thyroid issues, goitrogens? If you have thyroid issues, should you be totally avoiding, cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli, anything, any cruciferous vegetables? Does anyone have any thoughts or experience on this?
I'm well enough qualified to say that I wouldn't take on any personal health consulting answers in a generic format like this, but I if somebody wants to know individually, I'm happy to discuss such things.
How about rephrasing that? Would a generally healthy person have issues having cruciferous vegetables for thyroid health?
No.
Okay. So let's see.
Yeah, I think it's really important to have a well-balanced diet with all different veggies and everything. I mean, I eat the whole lot. If it's raw vegan, fruits, veggies, salads, little bit of fat, I eat the whole amount, and my blood work just keeps coming up great and greater every year, so it's really important to have a well-balanced, and this is the thing, when we start slimming down everything to where we don't get enough different types of foods in, and I see people, you know, I coach so many people all the time. I see people running into problems. So it's really important to have that balance. And of course, everyone's different. So you guys all and gals got to find out the foods that you like the best and that taste good, but don't be afraid to have little bits of new types of, you know, fruits and veggies in there, because it's super important. And then give your body a little bit of time to adjust with it. Like if I don't eat broccoli for, I don't know, 4 or 5 months, I'll get a little bit of gas when I start eating again. But then when I, also Reny wants to talk a little too.
Yeah, I just a few seconds probably Lily will give me to say that Lily grows absolutely normal. The you know, the weight, she doubled her weight in 3 months. Her height is like 10 centimeters taller than she was. She was 50 when she was born, totally normal. So, okay. It's too late for her and too bright light. So, okay. But she growing completely, and doctors say that she's completely healthy. We checked everything.
All the way. I mean, they're just, the doctors are blown away. I just want to say, when you do raw vegan, low fat, long term, and you do everything right,
eating enough.
Yeah, and eating enough and doing the whole lifestyle.
Need to eat enough food because raw food is so low in TikTok. Okay.
So yeah, it's just beautiful to see, you know. I always had that question, how's it going to be when we have a little one? And it's just beautiful to see her just growing normal, and the doctors are blown away that she doesn't have any little issues that so-called normal people would. So it's beautiful. You just got to do it right. You got to find the right people to guide you, and you got to have that mindset, and you go for it, and you're going to feel so happy. I mean, you know, 22 years and going strong. I've eaten more raw food than I have cooked food now in my life. So it's so beautiful. I remember when Doug said that, like, I forget how many years ago it was, when he reached that point. It was so beautiful to hear. So keep up the good work, everyone. It's so worth it. I mean, our health is number one. All right, that's enough for me, guys.
Thank you, Jess. Really appreciate that.
Question about muscle building or muscle growth. And the answer to muscle growth is to train like a bodybuilder trains. Use the rep range that they use. If you want to train for strength, train like a strength athlete trains and use the rep range that they use. Muscles aren't built in the kitchen. Muscles are built in the gym. They use a high rep range, 15 to 25 reps. If you can't make 15, it's too heavy. If you can make 25, it's too light. Strength athletes train at a much lower range. They 2 to 5 generally. If you can't make 2, it's kind of heavy. If you can make 5, it's light. And end of story. That question covered.
Thanks so much, Doug. So a question that has come up in the chat a little bit, and as well as in some other channels here, is asking about the importance of greens. Is this just a fruit-based diet? Can you get away without having any greens at all? Some nutrients of concern, maybe calcium or iron. Some people have talked about. Anyone want to go into greens and fruit?
I would love to.
Yeah,
I would also like to say something.
Right. Let's start with Peter here, because we haven't had him as much.
I would just like to say about greens that when I was about 3 years on this diet, on high fruit, and actually was not eating very much greens because I didn't like it that much. Then I broke my wrist, and everybody told me that it's really because I don't drink any dairy products. I don't eat dairy, so sorry, but it's because of that. But at the time, I was eating only fruits, and my bone was healed in record time, in about 4 weeks instead of 6 to 8 weeks, what the doctor told me. So even without greens, I was going fine, healing my bone without any extra calcium. So it just means that there is also enough of calcium in fruits. Okay, that's it.
Thanks so much, Peter. Does anyone else want to share on their feelings around greens?
Well, I
I
don't know
would
if
like
I don't know if
to-
I'd agree with Peter on that. The fastest healing I've ever seen for bones is when people fast. I've seen two people. That one guy was 66, the other lady was 80. Both of them broke their femur. Both of them were up and walking around in 3 weeks with no medical treatment whatsoever, just having gone through a water-only fast, like what I'll be doing and offering to people in January in Costa Rica. So the fastest healing, the way nature set it up for us to heal bones quickly, is to fast. So I'm not sure, Peter, that we can assume the calcium thing based on just the healing of a bone, because they heal faster when we don't eat anything at all. Just opens up the room for more conversation.
So yeah, with that thought, then it could also be in relation to how much calcium we have stored in our body and how much is being utilized from our food in those kind of high need situations. Is that what you're saying, Doug?
There's just more going on. I think I think the greens question is a different question than the calcium question.
Yeah. Anyone else have any other thoughts they want to add?
I would like to say
I'm
something.
really big on the greens. Like some people know me as a person who always drinks green smoothies, and I just love to put them in my smoothies and blend them up with fruit. And after, I think it was 1.5 years on the diet, I hadn't been eating that many greens, but then suddenly I just started to like blend up my greens, and I just had this healing burst again. So I had that in the very beginning, and I reached some stable point, and then suddenly when I got all these greens, it was just amazing. And my hair and nails got stronger, and I just overall improved in so many ways. And I see that with a lot of my followers or people who get coaching by me, that when they start to add this green smoothies and they get tons of greens in this blended form, it just kicks them off like crazy. So I'm a big advocate for greens in a blended form for sure.
Thanks,
I'd like to
Louise.
say something.
Yep.
So I think it also depends on the quality of the fruit. There was a time when I was getting very serious, like cracks on the sides of my mouth, and I didn't understand what it was. I thought I was doing really well. Everything else was going fine. And I was eating mostly fruit at that point. And then I started adding a lot of green. And within just a couple of weeks, those cracks went away. And it could have been a mineral deficiency. And I also see with some people who I coach with, when they're not eating enough greens, they tend to show signs of mineral deficiency. But I think it's related also to the quality of the fruit, because I see some people who do really well with fruit only, and especially if they're living in a tropical place or if they're able to get really good quality fruit wherever they're living. But a lot of times if the fruit is imported, it's still I'm going to eat this way because this is the diet that humans are supposed to eat. But I think it's important also then to add greens, especially if living in a northern cold winter climate.
Thanks so much, Karen.
Yeah,
So
greens are
let's
super important.
switch it up here, unless someone feels really strongly and wants to add more.
I wanted to add a little bit about greens too, Chris. It's super important.
Absolutely.
Yeah, greens are really, really important. I mean, I'm coaching thousands of people and I'm a full-time coach if I'm not up on the roof fixing things. So, after all these 22 years, I find a lot of people running into issues when they only are eating fruits and skipping the greens. I mean, like I said earlier in the talk, we need to have a well-balanced raw vegan diet to succeed long-term. If you want to have, nice hair, if you want to have, good bones and everything, greens are important. And for me, when I don't eat enough greens, I definitely feel it. So we got to get those greens in. So if you make green smoothies, they're great. I mean, I love huge salads. I have this big, massive salad bowl that takes about 37 to 40 minutes to eat, in the evening. So we got to get our greens in. I just wanted to say that there's a lot of people who are coming to me and just having all these issues. And I say, what about greens? And they're like, oh, I don't like greens, or I haven't eaten greens. and then they start eating, more greens slowly, and then in just a couple of months, they have amazing results and they continue on this beautiful path. So we gotta keep it balanced.
Absolutely.
Yes,
great perspective.
I can add that, especially when I was pregnant, I had very strong intuition, and you probably know that it kicks in so strongly. And at first, my very first month or two, when it was a little bit of like a nausea feeling, then I didn't crave that many greens. But after that was over, I was craving greens so much, and I really missed them, and my body needed to build this beautiful creature, and I was craving greens so much. It's just very instinctual. That's what I can say. And of course, like Jesse says, I see a lot of people who suffer a lot by, especially like Karen said, if the fruit is not so good quality, just a regular fruit that we can get, it's really can be quite catastrophic for some people. It's just our experience, what we see in people and in ourselves. Like if we can't get enough greens sometimes in the summertime when it's hot, we start craving them so much. And really, it's...
I feel the same way. I'm a big proponent of eating lots of greens and vegetables, and if you're not eating any greens, you probably want to be eating some vegetables. If you're not eating vegetables, you probably want to be eating some greens, and at least a lot of fruit, vegetables. And when you're in the tropics, you can drink a lot of coconut water and stuff like that. I get some of the similar nutrients, but I always enjoy a lot of greens and vegetables myself as well. We have a little bit of a left field question here, and I'm interested to see if anyone wants to dive into it. But someone asked, they'd love to hear discussion about germ theory versus terrain theory. In short, can you actually catch a virus, or is it just a healing kind of trigger in your body? Anyone dare to venture into that territory?
I just want to say that my kids, I've been raw vegan for 27 years, and I raised my kids raw vegan, and I did not fear my kids playing with kids who were sick. My kids never got sick playing with kids who were sick. So that threw the germ theory out the window. So that's just a personal situation I wanted to put out there.
Absolutely. I haven't been sick since actually before I went raw, but it's been over 2 decades since I've been sick. And my feeling, if anyone else wants to kind of go into that a little bit too, is that it definitely helps to the absolute utmost to have a terrain that supports health. I don't think that you're invincible, but you're way more able to handle anything that comes your way. Does anyone have any other thoughts around that?
Well, I think you have to add in the third theory, which is the exosome theory, rather than just terrain or germ. And if you understand a little bit more of the exosome theory, which is that your body is producing responses all the time to the environment to which it's exposed, and the cells themselves throw out materials as a response to the environment. So it's coming from within the cells out. Now, the material they throw out to most people looks like a virus. It's kind of the same thing, except the theory is the virus is coming from the outside in. The exosome theory is saying that material is coming from the inside out. And I'm more of a believer in the exosome theory, which is terrain oriented.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Thank you so much for sharing.
I would just a bit about this, that virus means poison, and of course, if we are exposed to any kind of poison, then we can get sick. But it's not about viruses. It's mostly about our immune system or vitality. I would say vitality. If you are living a healthy lifestyle, and then you are almost immune to all kinds of these viruses. So depends on what it is, and how much you get of some kind of poison.
Thank you so much. Absolutely. So we have another question here. We got a lot of questions. I think we're gonna have to do more another day. Somebody was wondering here, where am I? We'll go for this one. What do you think about if in a vegan diet, about, I don't know what the if, but what do you think about circadian rhythm? Does it cause any problems if we eat a late dinner?
Absolutely.
Yes. In our experience.
Yep, definitely. I've experienced all kinds of things, you know, and tried all different types of, you know, ways of doing things. I'm like a kind of like a lifestyle geek. I like perfecting everything and seeing how it goes. And I notice when I eat late at night, I definitely in the morning, I don't feel as energetic and boom, ready to do things. And I just notice, you know, the performance during the day is not as good. So I see that all the time, people eating really late at night. And when we did like some retreats and things, sometimes I'd be eating dinner like at 11 at night, and wow, I would be off for like 3 days. So definitely we need to follow that natural rhythm of the, you know, sunlight and the darkness and the mornings.
Also, Dr. Michael Greger, I think he looked through a lot of research about like diets and everything connected to it. So according to him, to the research that he looked through, when we eat earlier in the day, that was about weight loss in this example in his book, but I think it's just overall better. But in his example, he just showed with this research that the calories that you eat in the first part of the day are very different from the later. So if we eat later, it kind of tends to go into the fat reserves, and if we eat early in the day, we use it more as energy.
It's really interesting. So I've also heard that sumo wrestlers essentially do that same thing. They load up on calories at the end of the day to try and gain more weight and fast all day.
More fat, yeah,
particularly twice a day.
Yeah.
Two big meals. I'm not sure that we can take cooked food research and apply the results to raw food results.
Maybe.
I'm a little leery of that.
Maybe. But just in our experience, I feel much better when I finish eating early.
Yeah, just look at all the animals. I mean, a big part of my research and how I feel and do things is I follow the animals all around us. All the chickens, the birds, the wild things, everything around, they all go to bed when it starts getting dark, and they're up.
Except for the night hunters.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. It depends.
Those are mostly carnivores,
I
right?
had severe insomnia
Fruit bats
for years.
Yeah,
And
true.
then when I stopped eating at night, I started to sleep and didn't wake up so much at night.
Yes.
But when I'm eating late and I'm digesting instead of energizing my body through sleep, then I can't sleep. I had insomnia, and it works like clockwork.
I want to hear what Lissa says, but my experience is that if I eat very heavy foods like nuts and seeds late at night, I'm going to have restless sleep and probably bad dreams. But if I eat fruit before I go to bed, I mean, I needed an extra couple of 100 calories, and it was a big day. Today was a big day. I worked really physical all day. If I eat a couple extra couple 100 calories at night of just fruit, I sleep like a baby anyway, either way.
Yeah, rather than a truckload of nuts right before
Truckload
bed.
of nuts right before bed, bad dream.
I wanted to quickly thank Rachel Green. She says hello to all of us, and she's actually my first ever super chatter. She donated 10 grit pounds to this show and wanted to show support, energy, relationship. Doug, me, and Jesse for all the support and guidance, and blessings, Rachel. Thank you so much. It's great to have you on here.
Yeah, nice to see you, Rachel.
I don't know how much longer you guys have. I want to respect your guys' time. I expect it to be around like half hour, 45 minutes. We're almost at the top of the hour for an hour here, and we have tons more questions. We may have to. I'm hoping that these save. Now, that was one issue in the beginning. There was time for everyone to send in their questions beforehand, but they didn't save. So I'm hoping these do save themselves too, so I can copy some of these for another show. But do you guys want to answer a couple more questions, or how's everyone doing for time? Does anyone have anything they got to run to in the next 5 minutes?
I'm good.
I'm good.
I'm good. I'm so
All
nice
right.
to see all you beautiful people and see all these comments and stuff. It's great. This is exciting. I'm coming alive with this.
It's awesome, right? Yeah, this is it's really amazing how many questions we have coming in here too. So, and someone's saying, "Wow, Jesse, your hair is beautiful." Just so you know.
Thank you.
So I've had a couple questions. I mean, we talked a little bit about fruit. We talked a little bit about low fat, and I'll kind of bounce two of these questions together. One person asked about fructose, isn't it poisonous in large amounts? And another person just asked, is it dangerous to eat too many high sugar foods?
I personally don't do like an excessive amount, obviously, because I eat both greens and fruit. And I know some people in the chat are saying, listen on greens. I want to hear what to say about greens. I eat 2 big giant salads a day. But the thing is with my salads, they are predominantly fruit based. So the dressing is made of dates or other fruit. I've got tomatoes and cucumbers and a lot of fruit in the salad, and then a lot of greens with it. But I did my first 5 years raw vegan in Canada, where it's like it goes to -40, -47 was the coldest. And Chris, I know you know about this, but I found to be way more balanced when I was eating a lot of greens. And that's just for me, and everyone's going to be different. But I would say most of my diet, most of my calories come from fruit, but I do value greens. And I feel like that has kept me balanced. And it's the low fat, really. When it all boils down to it, it's the low fat. Because if you keep your fat low, you can use the sugar properly and easily, and you don't go through these like roller coasters of blood sugar because you're keeping your fat low. So that would be my 2 cents on that one.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Does anyone else have any thoughts on that one there?
Well, also, there's so much water and fiber in fruit when you eat it whole. It balances it out.
Yeah, it slows it down.
Slows it down by a lot. And if somebody still feels sugar highs and lows, that probably means that they eat too much fat, like Lisa said. And that affects the sugar absorption. That sugar doesn't get, or glucose doesn't get so well into the cells. And that's why it's raising. So you need to just lower the fat and eat enough fiber. Enough, also greens can help to balance it out.
Also fitness, we have to, if we're going to eat really high calorie, lots of fruit, we got to be active. When I'm doing heavy lifting, these 50-pound blocks like I did today, fruit powered. If I ate fat and greens, I would be too sluggish to do that work. But again, if I eat, too much fruit, and I don't get all that exercise in that I'm supposed to, that's also not balanced. So I think the whole key is to everything in life is having that whole lifestyle around everything and being balanced with everything, So if you eat the fruits, you eat the greens, and you get the exercise. And if you skip one of those things, then we're not doing so well. So that's kind of my idea on that.
Absolutely. Yeah, healthy, holistic, whole lifestyle.
Yeah.
That's the key that I think all of us like to champion here as well. There's been a few questions in about, omega-3s and 6s. And if we're talking about lower fat diets, how can we get that favorable ratio that some people say is between 4:1 to 1:1 of omega 6 to 3? So does anyone have any thoughts on that? Because it is implicated in terms of, DHA and EPA conversion and brain health. And what's the story there?
So you make your own DHA, and the way to get the ratios right is to lower the omega-6, not to raise the omega-3, but lower the 6. That's the whole point of low-fat raw vegan. The question about whole food cooked, I don't know of any cooked foods that are still considered whole foods. And I think it's important to note for the listeners, at least, that we're not always, even amongst us, always speaking the same language. All right. So we understand each other, but we're not always speaking the same language. So Lisa talked about fruits like tomatoes and cucumbers, whereas I would call fruit, cucumbers, and tomatoes greens. I would call them vegetables. I count them as part of the vegetables in my diet because in the kitchen, I eat cucumbers like they're a vegetable. I understand botanically they're a fruit, but we have to always clarify for listeners, are we talking about botanically or culinary when we say like the tomato is a fruit? Not just so we don't confuse people. Because if tomatoes and cucumbers are fruits, then almost all your calories come from fruit.
Yeah.
True
Karen,
that.
you
True
like to
that.
add to that?
I agree too with that.
Also about omega-3s, I was making a video a little while ago about omega-3s, and I was blown away how much omega-3, because I started looking through the chronometer, how much omega-3 is in fruits and greens and vegetables. So much. So you're getting
That's
a lot.
exactly what I've seen. That there is such a great ratio of omega-3 to 6. Look at fruits and vegetables. And I have charts that I show my clients so that they can see clearly the ratio. And that looking at those charts has helped a lot of people see why low-fat raw vegan is the way to go, and not eating all these nuts and oils and things like that that are high fat foods, high in omega-6 fatty acids. We want to go more with the omega-3 in terms of fruits and vegetables.
Absolutely. So in essence here, what we're saying is if you're getting the bulk of your calories from fruits and vegetables, you're getting a favorable omega-3 to 6 profile. If you're eating enough calories from fruits and greens and observing, your cravings towards greens as you include more of them, enjoying them in times where you really do get hyped up eating them, you're more likely to be getting enough of all of those. Let's see, do we have any other good questions here? Something else that I really noticed too with the omega-3 to 6s, and Doug kind of mentioned it himself, is even in the vegan world, when people are eating processed vegan foods, because most people who are eating a vegan-based diet, they're still eating some processed foods that include oils that are incredibly high in calories and in omega-6. And so a lot of vegan doctors are concerned about that ratio. When we're eating this way with whole foods and predominantly fruits and vegetables, we're much more likely to be in that proper ratio as it is naturally, which favors that conversion anyhow. Let's see. Well, we have a gross one here. Well, let's see if anyone wants to tackle it. What do you guys think of urine therapy? As all animals drink their urine in the wild. I've never read very often. I've seen I think one chimp doing it, but anyone want to talk about urine therapy?
I think it's an oxymoron.
Or more on oxygen.
Definitely not a good idea.
Yeah, I'm not a big proponent of it myself. Figure if it's just going out for a reason.
I think it's counterintuitive as well. It's like the body's trying to let go of something, and it must be because it doesn't need it. That's my thought on that one.
Yeah, absolutely. And that that brings up a really great thought that I'd like to kind of put forth here is, for myself, when I got into raw food for a decent amount of time, I was more of an intellectual eater. And as time went on and I really started to grow with eating foods that are in their whole natural state, raw, fresh fruits and vegetables, and learning more and more to eat with nutrition, with intuition, I found that sometimes people seem to almost trick themselves eating for intellectual reasons rather than listening to their intuition and what feels good intuitively. Does anyone else have any thoughts around that?
With the intuitive thing, I do notice that too, because we don't really know how to eat intuitively until we learn about the food that we're eating. And so many people coming from like diet culture and calorie restriction and portion control and all of this, they're like trying to bring all these like diet culture advices and theories and ideas over onto the raw diet, and it just doesn't work. Because the raw diet doesn't work with that kind of stuff. You have to eat abundantly, you have to eat a lot of variety, tons of fruit, and really focus on that and releasing those diet culture. But when we release the diet culture foods, we release the diet culture mindset. We can release that and then just fix it. But I see a lot of people try to eat intuitively without learning about how much food they need how important greens are and all of this kind of stuff, and they're eating small portions, they're not eating enough, and then they run into problems later on down the road. So yeah, we can't, I feel like we can't truly intuitively eat until we learn about what we're eating.
Absolutely. A good balance between knowing the knowledge, having the experience, and insights from others who've been walking it for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see, a couple people here. One person asked about onions and garlic. If they irritate the intestine, how would you know? Does anyone here have any thoughts on onion and garlic if they have
You would.
positive place, negative place, or other place?
I'm super pro onion and garlic. I love it, but
Anyone else? I feel the same. I enjoy. I've done about 6 years without any onion or garlic, and I've done I guess more than that with. And I like to go back and forth. I like to have it some days and not every single day. Anyone else have any feelings like that?
Well, again, research shows that garlic is anti-inflammatory, and I'm not sure about onion, probably too, but garlic for sure. It just shows that people get anti-inflammatory effect from eating garlic. It saved some lives.
Yeah, many lives.
Many lives, yeah. And saved people from bad infections.
Yeah, but in balance, again, I mean, those herbs like that, they're kind of like medicine. So, I mean, if we eat them day in and day out, which sometimes I do, but then I get tired of them and I don't have them for months, So, again, I think listening to the body, but balance and just being careful. Those kind of herbs like that, I mean, I'm a big fan of them also, but they are kind of like a medicine, So, those are to be kind of think about that a little bit, that they're kind of like a medicine. So, I wouldn't go too crazy with it, but definitely they're good. Saved my mom's life with that, and many people, clients over the years. So, yeah.
Thank you very much. So a couple of people have asked this last question here. Some people saying they're small in stature or they're really athletic and they just have a hard time getting in enough calories or enough protein. They say, we've kind of hit this a little bit, but any advice from others on how to just actually get enough if you feel like eating a 10 banana smoothie is too much? What can you do to make that easier?
Blend it.
I felt like I'm pretty small in stature, and I felt like if I'm eating enough fruit that I'm getting the calories I need, and I have so much energy. People are always amazed at my age how much energy I have. And so if you don't like bananas, or if you can't eat enough bananas, go to the other fruits. We have so much variety in fruits, and we get a lot of calories from other fruits as well. I mean, pears and apples and mangoes, they also have good calories. So if you're not attracted to one, go to the other. But fruit has the calories without having all the fat. That's really great.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Karen.
Well, guys. I think that.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, I think that raising your amounts of food, of fruits, or greens, little by little, and over time, you can build up this capacity of stomach to be more stretchy. Like in yoga, you just stretch gradually. You don't stuff yourself all of a sudden, but start adding one banana maybe every few days, or some other fruit, or greens, etc.
Yeah. Also rest too. I find a lot of people are just eating so much stuff, and they're so active. They're actually hyperactive that they're not giving their body rest and time to actually build muscles, because we also build muscles and gain weight when we're resting. We can't just be so active and stay up all night and expect our hormones and everything to be in balance. We gotta, again, find that balance. So it's really important. These people that are going crazy with not sleeping, I mean, I used to be one of them too, so I've learned the hard way. It's taken me 20 years to learn all these things, some of them the hard way. So when we do the right things, everything kind of comes into balance.
And also, we can't grow muscles by just eating.
Yeah,
muscles.
Work out.
Yeah, muscles are stimulated by workout, and then you just need to eat enough and sleep enough. Yeah, rest enough.
Awesome. Totally agree. 100%. Excuse me. Well, I want to thank all you guys for coming on. We're at the top of the hour and we have so many darn questions that it's almost just too overwhelming to even try and go through any more of them. I feel like we've covered a lot of really good ones. And if these questions stay in the comments, then I encourage anyone who wants to go in. I'm going to go in myself and try and answer some and do another live panel in the future here. Thanks so much for everyone for the patience with some of the technology issues and just the stumbling around with all the different comments. This is a new platform and it's pretty intense sometimes to learn how to do it. My first time hosting a conference and a panel here with everyone, and I feel really, really blessed by all of you guys who have participated, for all the questions you've answered, and for everything you've also brought to the Ultimate Raw Vegan Bundle. I would like to actually, as we go out, if each of you guys, and I'll start with Doug, share what you actually have brought into the bundle, and we'll go out with a bang with that. So what have you brought into the bundle, Doug?
Some years ago, I wrote a book called A Walk in the Jungle. It was a combination of the biology and hygiene of what life is like in the tropics, and I just couldn't find the way to make it something I wanted to bring out to people, and I rewrote it several times and finally got it the way I wanted it. And I have to thank the craziness of 2020 when I got stuck in Costa Rica for 5 months, and I recorded A Walk in the Jungle into the audiobook platform. So many people have said we'd like to hear books in your own voice, so I recorded A Walk in the Jungle and have spent a year now with editing that book, and the very first release is for this entire bundle. So I'm really excited to be presenting to you guys work that you won't find anywhere else except here on the bundle.
Awesome.
A whole new side.
I've actually been listening into that and really enjoying it so far, and I'm excited to listen to the whole thing here.
Oh, thanks, Chris.
Absolutely. So we'll jump into Lissa next. Oh, I've turned you off as I brought you up.
Oh yeah, I'm so excited for Doug's book.
You have so much goodness in the bundle, and you've brought so much. It's been such a pleasure building it and creating it with you. And I do want to let everyone know, just before I end, I apologize to all of a sudden be like, hey, I put in the notes here everyone's Instagram channel. So if you guys want to support anyone here, go to their Instagram channel and grab the bundle through them. I'll show this here. It shows there. But I'll pin this at the very top as well, and I encourage all of you guys to support everyone here and grab the bundle through them. So, Lissa, what did you bring here into the bundle beyond all the awesomeness?
Besides helping you with all the organization, I have my brand new party food ebook. So it's 50 appetizers, sort of party style, really fun raw food stuff that you can make for family and friends and gatherings. So they're not meant to be meals, obviously. They are just like, finger food that you can take to parties, especially this time of year for a lot of people are celebrating certain things. And also I wrote Let It Snow, which is just a mini ebook guide on my first 5 years raw in Canada and some of the things that I learned and tips and tricks that worked for me for my journey there. And also, finally, I have 1 month free of my meal planning app. So if anyone was interested in signing up, they can use the coupon code that you get when you buy the bundle to get 1 month free or $5 off for 1 year subscription.
Wow, that's
so
great.
Yeah, that's what I brought.
So awesome. Thanks so much, Lissa. This has been so amazing. And that group collaboration book with everyone here too is just so dang awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Which you created and put together. You're masterful.
Yeah, I worked on that for months, getting all of the pictures from everybody, and I designed everything. We had Miriam from the Netherlands. She edited it for us yesterday, right before release. So it's a work of art with everybody. So it's very special.
Absolutely. I'm just answering someone here who's looking for Louise's channel. We'll actually jump to her next, although she was on the bottom. Louise, what did you bring to the bundle here today?
Yeah, so I brought a recipe book, but it's a book that solves a problem, at least for me, because like a lot of people, I've been struggling with cravings and slipping up at night or in the evenings with food. And I thought there must be a way to make dishes that makes me want to stay raw. And so I started being creative, and I started to experiment with especially coconut meat and tamarind sauce and things that we don't really use that much on this diet. And it's young coconut meat, not the old stuff. And suddenly I came up with all these amazing recipes where I could use herbs and spices that actually made them look and taste like if it was a cooked meal. And I started experimenting with freezing things and defrosting them. And it was just a really interesting creative experience to make like sauce béarnaise or a paprika sauce or a casserole dish, you know, things that we used to love when we were on the old diet, and then suddenly recreate them in new versions, as similar as I could. So hopefully my recipe book is solving a problem there that at least it makes me stay way more raw. So that's amazing.
Awesome. I love it. And the book is very beautiful. All the recipes look really amazing. I'm excited to dive into them a lot more. So thank you so much, Louise. We'll dive in with Karen here. How's it going, Karen? What book did you bring into the bundle?
So this time I decided to do an ebook with one of my students. I run a raw vegan certification course, and she took my course a few years ago, and she really wanted to do a recipe book with me. So we did one where we created a lot of really delicious raw vegan transitional recipes. And her name is Lauren Orlando, the student who I did the book with. And so she came up with half the recipes, and I came up with half the recipes. And we have things in there like raw vegan eggless egg salad and delicious tomato bisque, no dairy, of course, and tastes delicious and creamy. And lots of foods that people will want to go to when they're going from cooked and especially not vegan to vegan and raw. And so bringing in an abundance of raw vegan nourishment and vitality in these foods that are transitional at the same time. So I was really excited to do that with Lauren and to be able to put that out to this wonderful community. And it's just so exciting for me to be on this program. When I first started Raw Vegan in 1994, there wasn't this community. I started meeting people like Dr. Doug Graham around 1995 and getting really excited about it. But it is so empowering to have this community now and to have something like this bundle. So I thank Chris and Lissa for making even more community around this raw vegan bundle. It's really exciting. And I wish that something like this was available back then for me when I was transitioning my family over to a raw vegan lifestyle. So thank you. And thanks everybody for joining us today.
Thank you, Karen. We really, really appreciate you. And it's just such a joy coming together with the community and growing it and seeing it spread out. Well, Jesse and Reny, you guys brought 2 books to the bundle.
Yeah. Well, I was in love with green smoothie bowls for quite a while now. So I was collecting these recipes over several years. And I also decided to divide these recipes. So I wrote a book with green smoothie bowls and divided them into like seasons or like fruits that are in different seasons. So you can have like mango based smoothies and then like smoothies with citrus or smoothies with stone fruits for summer. So it depends on what season it is. You can choose different smoothie bowls. But the reason I'm in love with them so much is because of, first of all, you get a bunch of greens right away in the morning. It makes, for me, it makes the meal more satisfying when I have greens in there. So greens blended with fruits and chopped fruits on top, because it's so important, I feel, to chew our food.
Yeah.
So we mix it well with saliva, and we start that digestive process really well. So for me, this is a very satisfying meal. And yeah, you can find smoothie bowls for different seasons there and use it throughout the whole year. And I'm very grateful for Lily that she was, so calm and allowed me to make this book in such a challenging time. And, she's so little. And somehow I still made it happen. I'm so grateful to her.
Good job.
It's awesome. It's a
Yeah,
beautiful
and
book.
Yeah, it's
Thank
really
you.
good. Yeah, and also if you want to support Reny, go to Happy Raw Reny on Instagram. And the book I'm sharing, I did not have time with everything, being a father first time and everything. So I decided to share my mom's book, which is an ebook, and it's called The Master Key to Health. So you can see that in the bundle. Really good book. This kind of talks about the same stuff that I talk about, like the whole lifestyle about, of course, raw vegan, low fat, raw vegan, and, diet and lifestyle around there, all these things that are important. So check that out. Yeah, that's about it. There's so much information in there. And yeah, if you want to check out my page on Instagram, you can go there, the whole lifestyle on YouTube. And I'm happy to help and support and share this information with all of you beautiful people on there, and all of our friends and listeners and watchers out there. So grateful for having you be on here, and thanks everybody. So grateful to be here.
So grateful for you too, brother, and for all you bring, and your mom and her book as well. Absolutely. And last but not least, we got Peter. Your book is, your book, I gotta say, it's one of my favorite title-wise, and the book itself is amazing too. So you bring to us what you brought into the bundle?
Yes, I started writing this book for about 8 years ago, and I couldn't finish it. And thanks to Louise, she really helped me to finish it. And thanks to you, Chris, and Melissa, it can be published for the first time. And it's called Fruit Can Save Your Ass and Planet 2. And it's about why to be on that kind of diet, on low-fat, raw vegan diet, and why to eat enough of fruits. And I go into details with cravings, with many personal stories, and also spirituality. And I hope it can help people who would like to try from this diet, and also maybe, I think there are never too many books on this topic, healthy lifestyle. So I really like it. Now I can also share my book, be a part of this.
Well, so blessed that you did, man. When Louise said that she got a hold of you and that you were game to put a book in, I was really, really stoked, and your book turned out amazing, as did everyone else's here in the group, and as well as the entire bundle with over 55 books in the entire bundle. You guys have brought a lot of wisdom, a lot of experience, and answered a lot of questions in here. Sorry to anyone who asked a question and didn't get it answered. We tried our best. I'll admit I was just a little overwhelmed with the amount in the chat and this technology here, but it's only going to get better. It'll only evolve. I really encourage everyone to check out the Ultimate Raw Vegan Bundle, not only just for the bundle. Definitely check that out and check all of our stuff, but also check out the free live schedule. We have over 200 chats, most of them on Instagram Live over the next 13 days, going into almost any topic you can imagine. So instead of it being kind of Q&A and a lot of stuff, it'll be a lot of time on one topic. And I think that everyone will really find all of those really invaluable. I just want to thank each and every one of you guys who's in here with me for your patience, for answering the questions, and for some of the hiccups that we've had here. And again, just for being a part of the bundle. It's been a pleasure, not only here, but also just throughout all the festivals and through all that we've shared and grown together. And it's just such an honor to be growing this community with all you guys. And just much love to all of you guys, 110%.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah.
And thank you to everybody.
Thank you.
It's
Thank
It's
you.
been awesome to
Chris.
see everybody creating new
Thank you.
products and
Thank
new
you,
content. Mhm.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah,
So we're going to
thank you
cut
so
the
much
screen here.
for doing
We'll
this.
see you
It's
guys
amazing.
again.
Okay.
Much love.
Bye bye.
Okay, thank you.
Good night. Good day.